793 AD, a group of monks were working in the garden of their monastery, when suddenly they heard screams in the air, a clash of steel on steel, thunderous booms of their war drums. They dropped their tools and ran for the hills, as hundreds of ferocious Vikings descended upon their monastery. When they heard the terrifying roar of the approaching Vikings, they dropped their baskets and ran for the safety of the monastery. But their peaceful day's labor was shattered by the sound of battle. The monks were either killed or had fled into the surrounding countryside. You are a monk living at the monastery of Lindisfarne. Your life is peaceful and tranquil, that is, until one day when a group of ferocious Vikings descended upon your monastery and began killing everyone in sight. What would you do? Perhaps you'd fight back, but there were so many of them, and you were so outnumbered. Or maybe you'd flee. Where could you go? The Vikings had cut off all escape. You could try hiding, but where could you hide that would be safe from their prying eyes? As the chaos and carnage continued around you, you knew that you were in grave danger. The Vikings were looking for someone to kill, and you were in their sights. You closed your eyes tight, trying to shut out the violence and mayhem, and you began to pray. Your prayers went unanswered. This was the day that the monastery fell, and you were about to become a victim of the most horrific raid of the Viking age. The Vikings did not pursue them. Instead, they began to ransack the monastery, taking whatever they wanted and killing anyone who got in their way. After a few days, they left, taking with them the riches of Lindisfarne and the lives of many of its monks. Looking up, they saw a large fleet of Viking longships approaching the island. As the first wave of attackers landed and began to run toward the monastery, the monks dropped their tools and fled. Some ran to the top of the nearby hill, while others made for the safety of the church, but it was too late. The Vikings were inside the monastery, killing everyone in sight. Seeing that they were about to be captured and killed, many of the monks took their own lives rather than submit to the barbarians. But upon reaching the top of the hill, they saw to their horror that the monastery was surrounded. There was no way in or out. Trapped with nowhere else to go, the monks desperately ran in circles, hoping against hope that the Vikings would just go away. But their prayers were not answered. The Viking horde was upon them, and these poor souls became the first victims of the massacre. These men of God had nowhere to run, nowhere to hide. The Vikings were upon them like a pack of wolves. And so began the massacre at Lindisfarne. Fleeing from the axe. As the Viking longboats approached the island of Lindisfarne, a small group of monks were out gathering herbs. The day the monastery fell. It was a bright and sunny morning when the monks of Lindisfarne got to work repairing the roofs of their monastery. Lindisfarne under siege. When the Viking horde arrived at Lindisfarne, they found the monastery undefended and unopposed. Viking chaos at Lindisfarne. Imagine if you can. The year is 793 AD now. Stay tuned for more videos about the Vikings.